I wanted to ask you about the proximity to the subject and the bull, and are you were thinking about that about the project? I mean, I've never seen any spectacle like in such a close-up where you can actually see the expression of the torero and the bull, because if you go to a corrida, you're far away and you don't really see the sort of ballet between the beast and the man. And I wanted you to talk about proximity.
I was there when I was a kid, you know, very, very little, like 5 or 6 or 7 years old.
Great for kids.
Yeah. And then I totally forgot. And then when I was, I don't know, like 25 or 30 years old, I had a friend that it's, you know, one of the managers of one of the big toreros in Spain, or maybe the best one or the most mythical one, that it's not, you know, now it's retired, but it's okay. And, okay, somehow he invited me 1 or 2 times in recent, you know, like maybe 10 years ago, or even more, 15 or 12. And okay, I said, the rest in my mind. But of course, as you said, I was quite close with my eyes, but not that close as the camera can see. But still, you know, I like somehow and whatever, you know, it stayed in my mind. And then when I decided to make the documentary, it was because, let's use the camera, let's use something that will reveal something, you know. Always in my films, the main idea in feature films is that the camera will see something that the human eyes cannot see. It's not, here it's more obvious because it's almost a technical thing, because it's, you know, they are, as you said, the close-ups and everything. But not only this, you know, it's revealing really something, or some kind of atmosphere, or some kind of interaction, that, because human eyes lacks concentration. So, you know, I knew that if we were really focused and disciplined, and it was a progressive work, because you have to learn how to shoot. And every camera operator, I always work with the same camera operators, more or less, and, you know, I couldn't control, obviously, all the cameras. So their duty was always to, you know, look for something interesting. No, it was really a process of research, as we never did before, in the sense that they were really alone, the camera operators, looking for something interesting. If it's a fiction, I am a little bit closer, and there is a little bit of manipulation of actors, so I can interfere. But here, I couldn't, apart from, you know, guaranteeing that, the guarantee that we will be closer, that they will allow us to get in the room or in the van, but it was not that different. And it was, for me, it was very beautiful, because I always shoot my feature films with the same process of as a documentary filmmaker. I always put the 3 cameras, you know, maybe I'm there, maybe I'm not. I don't, you know, I don't communicate a lot with the actors. So here, for me, was not a big change. The only big change, of course, no, because the fantasy was already there. On the costume, on the craziness of what they do, you know, you couldn't add more fantasy to that. You know, it's impossible, you know. And at the same time, it's ultra-organic, you know, because it's real, and the word that they use more, apart from balls, it's truth, you know. So no, there was a combination of the 2 things, and I don't know, I felt comfortable. Of course, manipulation was a little bit, you know, I missed a little bit what is manipulation of actors, in the good sense, but everything else was fine. And in fact, the process of editing was, again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, like it was 2 editors, and we were like 7 or 8 months, 7 days a week working, and it was very painful. But, okay, it was, for me, it was, I don't know, because of the subject. It was crazy because of the images, and I like them. I like, you know, even the violent ones, there is something beautiful. And it's about death, no? You know, and it's symbolic, and the ritual, and from anthropological point of view, I think it's interesting. And everything was connected. So how, and finally, I thought it was very coherent with what I did before, at the level, of course, of subject, but at the level also of the way we work and the final result.
So you said you couldn't really direct you couldn't direct them, but did you have any sort of interaction before? How did you meet Andrés?
No, I never met him.
Did you pick Andrés, or did you pick?
No, I picked him.
Okay,
but
and you met him before
Very briefly, I mean like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've seen him do bullfights before or not?
No.
No. Okay. So it was.
But I knew he was, because
You knew who he was.
I had, yeah. I mean, I knew he was very a good star, and you can check on YouTube, you can check in a lot of places. You don't need to, you know, to do, because the point was, and at the beginning we were following two toreros, him and another one. And the other one, we felt that it was not that interesting, not so photogenic, not so...
The suit not as good.
Yeah, well, maybe, yes, or the face, or the haircut.
I mean, Andrés
I didn't like the haircut of the other one.
Yeah.
I like the haircut of him. You know, when he's
very,
in
very
the bun,
charismatic.
he has been bounded, he has the hair, and it's fantastic hair, you know?
His face is amazing.
Yeah.
All this expression is like an actor.
Because he has more commitment, you know? It's the number one now in Spain. It's called what we call the number one. Yeah. So... and there is a commitment, you know, this was the main point, and this was quite impressive. And it was quite a lesson for us, I mean, all the crew, but for me especially, in the sense that of, you know, extremely focus, extreme concentration, what is lacking nowadays, you know. And, you know, there is something beautiful in the toreros, all of them, but here you see, because they have slow reactions, you know. Toreros, and this I saw it when when I briefly talked to him 5 minutes, or to the other ones, I saw it. They are very calm. They never overreact. You know, nowadays everything is overreacting. No, you are on the phone, messaging, saying something, answering. People is interrupting constantly because, you know, the brain, you know, was shaped by this the mobile phone and all these things. So, but these people know they cannot afford that. You know, all his job is just to be there, study the bull, since when it goes out, what kind of, the character of the bull, if it's dangerous, if it's not dangerous, if it's, you know, how it will react. And you need a lot of calm to do that. So this calm, this kind of poetry of the movements, of the introspection, of always analyzing, it goes to quotidian life, to real life, because, you know, all his job is like doing this. So this is already cinematographic in itself. It's poetic because I don't know. It looks like that they focus on something that you don't focus, or that they have some kind of calm that we don't have, or, you know, it's an unexpected way of, you know, behaving with the face, with the eyes, with the body. They I don't know, and this they incorporate it in their language, you know, body language and face or expression language, and it's always cinematographic, all of them. And of course, if you add the tension, you add the organicity, this becomes even more intriguing somehow, because it's, I don't know, it's like an actor. You know, they are doing something very artificial, but at the same time, you know, it's the fate of life, because they need to be there. And this, I don't know. I like both things, and the calm and the introspection. And very nice people, by the way.
Did you have any idea in mind of what could happen and what you were maybe expecting to happen?
No.
Since it's...
No, because,
it's always surprising. You know, everybody has a chance.
And bullfighting is very boring. I mean, boring. You know what they say, the duende, no? The magic appears from time to time. You have to really follow, you know, one corrida after another, or even in the same corrida something can happen, or just, you know, the audience is there waiting for, you know, like one minute of magic, or 30 seconds, or I don't know what, you know. So so we knew that we should. And this was my process of working before, a lot of hours, and the patience of just shooting and learning, but always with the innocence, you know, not pretending that I have any idea. You know, it was the same point of view as before. I don't have anything to say. You know, I don't have anything to say. I don't know anything about this. I don't like this subject. I don't like particularly the subject. I like because it's violent, and because it's, and I don't like violence in cinema. When I see a film with guns or all this, I don't like it. Or that there are people shooting, or I don't know. I don't. It's not my subject, you know. But here I like it. because it was real, and I don't know, it was ritualistic, and especially, for example, the death of the toros, I like it very much. The way, because people say the toro, the animal, it's not conscious that he's going to die. He doesn't know what it is death, you know? So it's very beautiful because it's graphical. That life, it's when you are self-conscious that death exists, this makes a distortion, you know? But the purity of the bull, you know, that after the fight is being killed, and the life, it's going away. You know, it's abandoning him, life, and you see it, it's just you have some seconds to see this, or even a little bit more, 1 minute or 2 minutes. And so for me, this was very, I don't know, very beautiful of to see the present, you know, this border between death and life, that it goes, it flows. It flows. It's not a, you know, stop. It's not a mark. It flows. And, you know, and I don't know, this was, and there is a movement in this dying, and I like it. And I don't know, and it's part of the game. I mean, the transcendence of it's because it's dying. If not, it will be like banal. You can go to sports, or you can go to, you know. And I don't know, it was, for us, was surprising to when we get closer and closer and closer. And I don't know, every day was something.
How many hours did you shoot?
Like 600 or 700, no, because sometimes...
Were you watching right away, or you edited like months later?
No, later, always at the end, when the shooting was done. The advantage was that, in this case, that the other torero, from the very beginning, I saw that it was not so interesting.
The one with the bad haircut? The other one?
Yeah.
The one you didn't like?
Yes. So I reduced almost half of the hours that I didn't even check. Well, I start checking it. I realized it was not good. Usually, I never proceed this way. I check everything. But here it was so obvious, and it could have been so time-consuming that it had no sense. You know, but it's not a good idea to. No, I mean to have just checking some of the images to have an opinion. You have to really check all. But in this case, I mean, it was so obvious, and it would have been impossible.
The haircut was never going to work. So.
Yes. No, and so we decided to focus on the one that it was obvious that it was working. So for the reason we reduced a lot, and this was a little bit helpful because, you know, but it still was very painful. We were really tired at the end. And but it was challenging also, the process of the edit, because of the simple cuts, you know, one cut, and every cut, you know, has a sense, everything, it has to be harmonious. The film has an hypnotic quality somehow, and it's very repetitive. You know, we wanted to reproduce the structure of a corrida, that it's 6 bulls, and it's quite repetitive and can be boring. But the film, it's not, because it's more dramatic, but I mean, we wanted to, you know, to really feel this idea, though, okay, one, and another one, and another one, and another, and at the end people say, no, another one. And you say, okay.
God, it was only one torero.
Yeah. But I don't know, because you have to trust a little bit that it's not because you push a little bit. No? And at the end, if there is not a little bit of this kind of pushing of, you know, obliging the spectator to, you know, keep it, the tension, even if it looks it, but okay. But it was very beautiful. I learned a lot of things about cuts. You know, I always say I am the best editor in the world. In the world. Yeah. You know, no, this is not a joke.
I know.
I mean,
everything
filmmakers, there are, I don't know, 20 better than me, or I don't know, a lot. You know, but editor, no, 0. Okay. No.
But you don't edit for other people.
What? No, because you can only edit your own images. Because you know the images, you shoot it, you know, it's, for me, it's absurd. Of course, sometimes people send me something and I help people, but just to, you know, just to, you know, friends. But just to give your opinion, I mean. Mm-hmm. But this is a very important and delicate issue, And, you know, and for me it was very interesting. I don't know how to explain, because it's a very specific thing of how the cuts are done, and because it has to look realistic always, and it's not. You know, here what you see, most of the cuts in every single corrida, it's not happening on that order. Even, you know, it's full of, how to say, you know, I change you the toro and you don't see it, and a lot of things that you cannot see. But
You made a better corrida.
yes, much better. No, I'm trying that every corrida has a different perspective, different point of view, and something that for me was very challenging, and it's connected and it's current with this idea of the toro dying, is that for the first time you see the toro as a subject, you know, because there are a lot of shots of the toro looking at the camera. So this is somehow a duel, no? The duel between the torero and the toro, but it's more sad when the toro is looking at the camera. Usually in all videos of corridas, the toro is like running and doing the things and whatever, but it's an object of the camera. And here he looks at the camera. So it's very sad and very moving somehow. It starts to grow up as a personality of the film. In fact, it's Afternoons of Solitude. So it means it's the solitude of the torero, of course, the main one, that it's obvious, but the loneliness of the toro also, that it's quite sad when, for example, in the raining scene, for example, the torero hated this scene. He saw the film and he hated all this scene of the rain because, I don't know, apparently he doesn't perform so well as a torero, you know. But you say, fuck, from the cinematographic point of view, it's beautiful because, you know, with the rain and... Because all the faces with the rain are more beautiful. All the animals, always. This I saw it in my previous films, because when they put some wet on the hair, you know, it puts all the hair more like flat, and they look strange, and it's very, very sad. So a little bit of rain creates sadness on animals. I don't know. It's a visual thing, and for me it was. And then of course there is the loneliness of the group, and for the reason I didn't like, you know, the folkloric elements. You don't see the audience. You never see the audience. You know, I totally erase the audience just on the sound, but because I like the idea of being alone, really, really alone, and the group also, and in these voices that do commentary and help. This was another discovery, for example, because we put the lavalier, you know, the microphone. This was only possible now. 3 years ago, it could not have been possible because we're using the transmitter, and transmitter was with batteries, and you had to change the batteries every hour or every, I don't know. And now you put one of these transmitters with this USB battery, and it lasts 6 hours.
So he had one.
Yes, all of them, all the time. Two, some of them. Two,
In
one
the cars?
in each side.
And in the cars as well?
Yes, of course. And in the car, there was not operator. You could have never reached these kind of things with an operator. They knew there was the camera and the lights. There is a moment when he say, "Can you switch off this light?" And the other guy say, "No, there is a motor in it, a little engine." And you say, "Little engine? What is he saying?" I mean, no, really, they are totally, I don't know, I don't understand them sometimes. And they keep on. But of course, after 6 hours, after half an hour, you have the microphone. If you knew, I cannot say it here in public, but if you knew what I have in the microphones, I mean...
You have tapes.
Yeah, a lot of things, interesting things. Because people already forget, you know.
Maybe a podcast.
Yeah. No, and also with the camera. Because all my previous feature films, I was there, no? For example, in feature films, and there is the cameras, no? The 3 cameras, always, you know that my setup is always 3 cameras since the very beginning. And sometimes I leave, you know, and I leave the set. But that the actors see that I am leaving. And they keep on, of course, the rule was always that they have to keep on acting, no? So, but more or less they sense or they see me leaving. And if I leave and it's 1 minute or 2 minutes, who cares? They will be, but after 20 minutes of me not being there and the scene keeping on, another atmosphere starts to being created. So this is not so different from this on the van, where the camera, they know the camera is there because there was no space for an operator. So the camera was fixed and it was problematic, but, and okay, they do, and they know the camera is there, but they forget inevitably. And this is part of the, because, you know, this was something very strange. They knew the camera was there, even in the room, and they never act for the camera. I don't know, it's so...
You think they forget? Or?
Yes, or I don't know. Because they are so focused maybe in their own things, they don't care if the camera is there. They don't, I don't know, it's quite strange. I never saw that in my life, that it was, and this is the strange quality of the film, because it's not totally quotidian, but it's not totally, you know, fantasy. It's in the middle, in the middle point. I think that obviously the costume help, the Baroque side of the plastic, you know, approach helps to create the fantasy, of course, no, the plasticity of all of it, and the blood of the toro, you know, and everything. You say it's real, but at the same time we push a little bit the colors and the saturation as always, and you know we really work on it, and you know the shining of the blood, you know, it's a little bit pushed on post-production, but still, you know, it's real blood, but artificial. But at the same time, it's so, I don't know, it's artificial, but it's not like in a horror movie where you see that it's pushed in a different way. Here, it's always in a strange middle point of reality and not real, but essentially real because, you know, it's a documentary. And we didn't invent anything. There is special effects, it's just, you know, to hide mistakes. I mean, some, you know, microphones or something's getting in or... Yeah, but I mean, there is no special effects of any kind apart from this technical, you know, or delete something or a face that somebody's getting in the frame or whatever. But not any kind of, we didn't underline absolutely anything apart from with the color and the sound, of course. The sound is another work that it's connected with the sound of Pacifiction. Because there we, you know, this idea of sound and, you know, music, well, I don't know.
No, it's when you see this film, we recognize your work as a director, and you know the atmosphere and also the sound. But as a director, was it just as satisfactory for you to work on a documentary, or do you want to have more input on?
I mean, what it was satisfactory was the result. Of course, the process...
You couldn't torture the actors.
No, but they have enough, you know, they torture themselves. I don't know if they are masochistic or sadist, but, you know, but still, I don't know, no. I mean, of course, for me, a feature film, it's better in the sense that the psychological element, it's much more important, and it's more funny. But here was not this kind of fun, we couldn't get it. But still, on the edit was very interesting, and I was happy with that. I mean, I didn't feel that I lose time.
Okay.
No, I think that I got something, and that I really...
But you learn things.
Yeah, that I learned things, and for me was a good thing. I mean, I don't regret it. Of course, probably will be the last documentary I will ever do, but it's good, no? I mean...
Yes, no, of course, it's a great film.
No, because I don't have subject, is what I said at the beginning. All the other subjects are bourgeois. The only subject, because this film, there is only me in the world that can do it, in the sense that you need a little bit of knowledge of the thing, enough knowledge to be oriented, not to lose time, not to be an idiot.
Yeah,
no?
You had to have an idea of it.
Yes, of course, and I had friends, and the most important guy in bullfighting in Spain, or one of the most important, you know, experts, is from my village. And it was a friend. I knew, you know, the brothers and all the family. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this was a very important asset in the making of the film. Mm-hmm. But you need a little bit of knowledge, but at the same time, you don't need to be part of it, because if not, what is the point? You have to do the research on your own. You know, I don't need help. And I want to show things that even themselves they have never seen. So you need this kind of, to be in this special position of knowledge. Then you need some kind of talent for the technology and the digital technology, digital shooting and digital editing. That is what I have been doing in my life, my whole life. So there is not a lot of people that can spend 7 months or 8 months doing the editing themselves. In normal filmmaking, I would say that there is 0. 8 months of a filmmaker of this level, spending 7 days a week, doing the edit, I think it's 0. No, literally.
I know, we haven't
because
talked from you in
all
months.
have, and they get bored, and they all prefer to keep on with another film, or they all don't have a lot of things, or family, I don't have family, I don't have anything else to do, Then to focus on that. No, because one has, I don't know, 3 women, or 3 men, or I don't know what, or, and
We did put pressure on you to finish the film, I know.
Well, yes, because we had a little bit talks at the San Sebastian Film Festival because the director was friend, and I thought it was a film for Spain, that the premiere should be done. And I was scared that the film will not be shown in other film festivals and that the people will be against. I was wrong, sincerely.
But you're never wrong.
Well, in this case, I was wrong because, I thought that you will never show it here, for example, or that a lot of countries will think, it's too violent. And then there was no problem because it's, it's an anthropological approach also. So from this point of view, and the problem was only in Spain.
But it's a real film.
Yeah, it's a real film. This is also obviously it's an art piece, if we can say, maybe it's pretentious, but I know that it's a little bit an art piece. And so you have to be close. You have to be a little bit of knowledge. You have to have the digital technology and digitally minded way of, editing and the possibilities. And I don't know, you need to be there. You need to, it's not a superficial thing. It's a beautiful anecdote. When I started to do this film, when I started to talk about this film with the producers in Madrid, with co-producers in Madrid, there was Frederick Wiseman there, in the dinner by chance, because he was doing a master class and I was with him, and we were starting 5 years ago, this was. And I was starting to discuss this, blah, 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 and I leave, because it was a dinner and I had to leave, and I leave. And when I leave, the other producer that was also, organizing the master class of Wiseman in there, when I leave, Wiseman told him, if the guy doesn't do the film, I will do it. What was? And then when he told me this the day after, I said, well, I have to do it then, because if not, but it could have been interesting also to see.
I'd love to see a Wiseman
version
of it.
I was thinking. But of course, this, it's not that easy, and you need the contact. You need to be Spanish somehow. You need the contact with the torero. You need to, because it's not that easy that they get, and it's strange, it's a tension.
Well, they're huge celebrities, and I'm sure they're not easy to approach.
No, not at all.
Did they know your work, or why did you agree?
They heard the name or whatever.
They heard your name. Okay.
Enough. But then they don't like the film. They saw the film and they don't like the film. So
I did not like your work. I don't understand.
They don't focus. They don't. They think. I don't know. They don't like the film.
You don't make them look good.
I don't know exactly what is the problem. Well, I know that they don't like the violence of the film, the close-ups of the toro dying, and I know that, and they complain about that. Well, it's what they do, but I didn't make any special effect. But at the same time, they think that it's not good for publicity for the corrida. Nowadays, of course, it's being banned. We saw it here in Mexico.
It's banned in Catalonia.
In my area, Catalonia, part of Spain. And so society, we can say that society goes in one direction and bullfighting obviously goes in a different direction. Yeah. But for this reason, it's interesting, and it's educative. What is, there is an education, because of course it's cruel, of course it's unfair, of course because of this is education. Without this, you cannot get anything. Mm-hmm. And for this reason, it's a ritualistic or a symbolic ritual, of something that could be worse. So, and it's there are no short. What it teaches you something, you know, very simple, and it's what I learned there. And all the crew were quite, I don't know, impressed by that. You know, there are no shortcuts. You know, this is the main point. It's about there is no shortcuts. There is a fate, you have to be there. And since they start dressing, that they are extremely nervous, even if you don't see it, but they are extremely tense, especially in the main arenas and blah, 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 and the main arenas where there is a lot of pressure. So, and there are no shortcuts. You have to go there and kill the bull. Either you are killed, either you kill. And there is no other possibility. So it shows that there is no, you cannot make a speech and solve the problem within a speech. You cannot write a tweet and solve the problem and think that you are, you know. Problem, it's for the reason, you know, when I was thinking in the war, for example, now in Ukraine or, you know, people is dying. No matter what the fucking people say in the European Union, all the speech they do in the parliament, a war, you only win it fighting on the field and dying. And there is, you know, hundreds of people, 400,000 or 200 or 300,000 from each side, dying, already dead there. So, and what does it mean in a speech in the European Union or a president of any country? You know, if you don't fight, you will lose the war. You know, there is no other possible opposition than the physical one. So, you know, this is a symbolic ritual that teach you that, you know, this is like this. There are no shortcuts. And, of course, there is death, you know, and life and death. And, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, and talk with Israel and all of the other world. And I am not talking about if you are from one side or the other side. You know, I am saying just that if you have something, you know, physical violence, you can only fighting, not talking.
It's a philosophical question.
Yes, I mean, it's completely useless. So this is not only me, but the crew, you know, we were really in deep on that, this idea. Because, you know, I don't know. And we saw that some afternoons are boring, others are, you know, more difficult. The toro, it's more dangerous. Some other, you know, it's, as they say, son of a bitch.
There are some very
because they are, of course, it's you or me. It's like in war, even if it's your brothers or Ukrainian, Russian, they are like brothers, you know, well, you know, on the level. They are not very strange people from each, you know. So, but it's you or me, I mean, and when you are there, you prefer you. No? And so,
yes.
So, and this is here, you know, somehow, I don't know, this idea of fatality, of action, and I don't know, it teaches a lot of things for contemporary world that we think that a lot of things are solved just, you know, on Twitter or whatever, on X or...
Did you have a discussion with Andrés?
No.
No.
At the end...
Did you talk to him after he saw the film?
Briefly, but it was very difficult talk. Of course, the film is an amplification of something. So it means that if you see yourself on a screen like this, okay, if you are not used to it as an actor, it's a shock somehow. And they are extremely focused on the performance and obsessed on details, and of course they don't see the film as a film. They, you know, and he thinks, when I say they, I mean the other toreros and also the manager, and they look, you know, they think, not the film. They don't judge the film artistically. They just judge themselves.
Would you look at the film in terms of his own performance? I don't know, do they ever get footage like this?
No, they think it's good, but this is chance also. I had the chance, for example, that there are 3 attacks, no? He's bounded 3 times, and this is quite, I mean, I had chance. But no, because it creates some drama. No, it creates some drama on the film and some tension, and the audience probably since the beginning of the film, it's already tense of what will happen next. But then maybe I was not, you know, this idea of super, how to say, harmony, no, between the toro and when sometimes it happened. Here, all the toros that we shoot are very dangerous and, you know, not noble. But when a more noble toro appears, then there is a spiritual harmony, and it can create more space for art of torero, you know, art of bullfighting, you know, that it can express in a easier and more harmonious and sensual way. But we had what we had. So it's also, you know, the idea of a documentary, that it's what not happens very often in documentaries, is that you have what you have. And this will determine the meaning of the documentary. Because all documentaries, they do it and they all have an idea of what they want to say, most of them, you know? No, I didn't, of course. But also with the subject that it can change simply on the reality. If it one day, or, you know, it can totally change the meaning depending on what happens. You know, documentaries show established situation somehow, or not something that depends on, you know, the seconds or, you know, minutes of movement of reality. And I don't know, this was also quite interesting to live.
I know you love to talk, but
No,
maybe...
no, I don't care.
No, there's so much more to say, but
No,
maybe we have... No, maybe we want to hear audience question?
Ah, yes.
Yes, okay. So, do we have microphones? Yes. There's someone here.
So first of all, thank you for making such an eye-opening and surprising film. I really didn't know much about bullfighting before this. So what's surprising for me is I always assumed there was some kind of element or pretense of honoring and respecting God's magnificent creature kind of aspect to this. But in the movie, it seemed like, at least the way the dialogue we heard, there was a lot of disrespect for the bulls when they were talking about, like, you know, don't touch its blood, that's going to contaminate you, or just calling it a son of a bitch, or die, go to your mom in heaven. And it seemed more like honoring the magnificent balls of the torero. So I guess, first of all, do you agree with that aspect? And is that more of a modern part of bullfighting, or is that something that's always been it?
No, there are two elements. One element of the respect for the bull, it's especially or almost only when the bull is bad. That it's a bad bull, this is that it's not noble, that it doesn't give you a good game, you know, in the sense that they cannot, you know, show or express themselves as artists because the bull, it's difficult. So, and it's difficult and dangerous. Well, dangerous. And when this happens, they hate because they know, you know, it doesn't allow you to express yourself as a torero, and at the same time, it's dangerous. So, and it's what I said before, we had the chance of having a lot of this kind of bulls. What usually, you know, happens in the main arenas, and so this was what we got. We can find these other bulls when, you know, they really show more respect and they are, you know, grateful. And even if a bull is very, very good, the president of the arena, it happens very rarely, once a year or even not that they can, how to say, save the life of the bull. Yeah. But it has to be an extremely noble bull and a very, very, you know, great fighter, but noble. So it's part of the game, you know. I mean, well, yes.
You could have had some.
Yeah, yes. And you never know. I cannot, you know, spend my life, you know, shooting this. You know, I got what I got, and I spent already 2 or 3 years, so that's enough. And then for the other thing of the balls and those things, I like it because it's humor, you know? It's a little bit of irony. I always put these kind of things in my films, something that makes you say that it cannot be real, you know? It's too much. And then it became something ironical. It's not. People wrote in Spain, but it was a little bit, I don't know, wicked. They say, something about masculinity. And I said, it's ridiculous, you know? It's about, it's so, yeah, it's so exaggerated and so that it's funny, you know? In Spain, when you see it, it's funny. And I don't know. Everything is about feminine and masculine, you know? If you see the way they talk to each other, you know, it's on the edge of a lot of things. It's like sailors, you know? When they spend a lot of time together in a boat, you know, like months, they start to, even physically, there is some kind of tenderness that you can, and
You seem to know.
yes, because it's what they have. And if you hear the expressions where they talk each other in Spanish, said, alma mía, hijo mío, my son, you know, this kind of thing that's very expressive of tenderness, you know. Some kind of, I don't know, it's very strange. You don't know exactly where it comes from. So this combined with, you're bald, it doesn't match, you know, it doesn't match. I mean, it's not real. There is some kind of irony there, yeah, and I don't know, spontaneous way of course, at the same time, it's, I mean, you need the balls to do, no? But in French, it's in the French subtitles we don't have here, but, well, it's even more accurate. Because in English, it's difficult to translate.
You didn't work on the English one?
No.
But you did the French one?
Yeah, I checked the English one, but it's more difficult to translate. But in French,
You're
it's more
very
easy.
happy with the French?
Yes.
Okay.
The French,
heard.
also the English, it's very good. But it's, I don't know. You know, this strange level, you have to be Spanish or have Romanic language, you know.
Do we have, there's a question here?
I was blown away just by just how close you were able to get to the subject and to all the action going on in the film. And I mean, I found every death, obviously, the transition up from life to death of the bulls really moving and I don't know, effective in a way that I don't know, that doesn't happen with a lot of film. But I found the structure of like watching the movements and the cycle of the performance each time, especially, I mean, we only see it over 2 hours here, but there's so much, it is repetitive in a way. And I was wondering, since you obviously, there's so much more footage that isn't in the film, was there ever a sort of numbing effect to the level of this performance, or did it always feel fresh in some way or unique each different I don't know performance, I guess? Yeah.
Well, the repetitive side I like. I mean, as I said, I wanted to reproduce the structure of a real corrida, that is 6 bulls, and when you are in an afternoon, and it's around 2 hours and a half, 2 hours 45. So this thing that, okay, one thing ends, and okay, again, another and another. So this kind of repetitive, you know, sterile sensation somehow, that it's not going anywhere, because when one bull is dead, then there is a new one, and it's dead and a new one. So it's not, there is no concretion, there is no progression on anything, you know, it's just to look for magic, you know, and for the reason it's repetitive, because they are all waiting for magic. So this we wanted to keep it, and I push a little bit, but I think that the film has to be long. If not, has no sense. It will be a banality. You know, it happens in a lot of films, you know, if it's not a little bit long, and the longer, the more you understand, but I think, okay, I don't know. I think it's at the very last corrida, people say, fuck, again, another one, no? But it's short. You know, and it's one of that has new things, but at the same time, you know, it simply kills very quickly and it's over. So life keeps on. And I wanted to put a little bit of melancholy at the end. That, not, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but life goes on. So, I don't know, this structure of there is no beginning, no ending. It's their life. You know, it's a flow. We just select one point of their life at the beginning and one point at the end. But there is no this idea of nothing to say. We just put observation with camera, and the camera reveals things, and that's all. And you take your own ideas or consequences or meanings or whatever, but not me. Or me as a spectator, but not as a filmmaker. As always, the edit answers the question, which is the best possible edit with this material, with all the material I have? So this is the answer. And it's a totally formalistic answer, you know? If you can, no, think about the question. The edit, it's just answering one question. What is the best possible film that you can do with the images you have on the rushes? This is the only. I don't have any idea to transmit. I don't have anything to say. I don't have just to apply, you know, to answer this question in a way that it's absolutely scientific, that this is the best edit possible. There is nobody in the world can improve it.
No, it's
And,
like,
you know, I am
mathematics.
totally safe and sure of that. But, I mean, totally.
It's like mathematics. It's right
Yeah,
or
yeah.
wrong.
It's half scientific and half creative. Because it's creative because you have to find the best edit in a creative way. Of course, you have to invent things, you have to analyze the material, but at the same time find, you know, the most original solutions for this material. But at the same time, you have to be completely sure that nobody else can improve one single shot of it.
As a spectator, if you didn't make that film, you see this, you'd think it's perfect?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I mean, it
Well,
wouldn't-
as a spectator, it's obvious it's perfect. Even as an editor, I think it's perfect. But, of course, you are more dubious as an editor because you compare things. You know how things could be done here, or the small details, and you think it's better this detail or the other. Sometimes you can have doubts. But still, you know, you have to solve these doubts. But for a spectator, no, you cannot see the, I mean, you cannot imagine anything else better. I mean, you cannot. It's with all my films, this idea, that because it's very difficult with my films in general to say, there wasn't a script or here, or to compare with an idea that was a previous idea and to say, he achieved this idea or no. No, because you cannot recognize the previous idea. It's a material that it's there as a final form of material, and that's all. You cannot imagine what was behind, because in fact there was nothing, in the sense that if you don't have anything to say, you know, in fact there is nothing. You cannot, because if you recognize that there was something to say, then you can say, okay, he achieved the goal or not. But if you cannot recognize this, it's very difficult to make a critical, you know, aesthetic judgment.
Do we have time for one last question? Because it's Albert, we have time for one last question. Okay, thank you. And there's someone here? Here.
Hi, I've got a question. Have you tried to film the wound of the subject and also film when they're doing a surgery? Because we see a lot of wound on the bull, but for the bullfighters we just see the bleeding, but not their wounds.
But what do you mean? I mean,
I remember in the beginning one of the subject mentioned there's gonna be a surgery.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
But we couldn't get in the clinic.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And.
Because there is a clinic in the stadium, in the arena, but we couldn't get in. Complicated things, because first of all, it's unpredictable that he will be wounded. They said we don't have time, we have to go there, and then there were hygienic things and blah, 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 so it was not possible. Would have been nice, I agree, but it was already very difficult, because, we were on a rush always, because these people were not waiting for us, so we are really, and they were very tense and everything, so all the things in the room or everywhere, in the van, everything had to be prepared very quickly, and even the cameras in the arena. All the cameras in the arena, they have, platforms, TV platforms that show in the main ones, the ones you see here. So the best positions for the cameras were taken by the platform TV people. So we always had to look for, was quite crazy. Look for other positions for the cameras that were not ideal, but at the same time, it was challenging for us, but at the same time interesting, because it always, obliges us to try to, look for a new point of view, something crazy. And for example, this idea of the shots that are a little bit up, and you only see the sand, the toro, and the bull. There is a lot of shots that you don't even see the barrier, no? You don't even see the audience, just sand, bull, and torero. So this was a little bit of a consequence. We realized immediately, because the ritualistic side and the atavic side, it grows up, because you don't know if you are now or you are 2,000 years ago or where, because just sand and, the torero. So, but this was a little bit by chance of looking for different positions, and then we said, oh, fuck, this is much more beautiful than seeing, all the other people that it's disturbing, or the barrier, or that it's, folkloric and boring. And so let's, do this. And this is artificial, because you hear all the sound of all what's around, but you don't see it in a lot of shots. But these are, a little bit the chance of being obliged to find original position, different positions to try to find something. And we were happy with that. I always work with this idea that, there is a beautiful film that maybe you know of Pere Portabella, the filmmaker, Spanish, that he was Cua de Cook with about the, this shooting of Jess Franco film about Dracula, So he was putting the camera, he was doing like a making of. We can put it this way. But if you see an actor here, and he's doing something for my camera that it's here, and it's boring, because if the actor is bad, probably, or it's not perfect, it will be boring, because it's talking to you or talking for this camera, not for. But if you put the camera here or there, and you see maybe somebody else there or there, then you don't see that he is a bad actor, because he's not acting for you. And even if he is a bad actor, he can be, for your camera, a good actor making a bad actor. You know what I mean? This is very important. So for this film, it's the same. I was used to that, always to think, let's, move a little bit the thing, just in case, to be safe. Because if it's bad, it can always be the trace that it's, maybe a super good actor making a bad actor. Maybe. So here is the same. You move the camera a little bit of what they are doing, and you find things that they will never have imagined. If everything is on order, you never find anything, because everything is on order. Everything is on the order that predicts something. No? And so this is a very, very strange idea that it always works. I mean, it saved me a lot of times with bad actors. And you see bad actors, always bad director. Actors, they are not responsible of their performance. But, you can, a different angle, if the actor, in this case, the whole show, the bull or everything, it's not aware of that, it's more sharp. And in this sharpness, there is an authenticity that makes the actor automatically good. Because the camera is revealing something that it's unseen to the human eyes, but, it has such a degree of truth, what the camera is revealing, that if it's in a context of an artificial feature film, a fiction, then it became super good fiction. Well, it will be a long story, but...
You're finishing the story tomorrow at the second Q&A?
Yeah, okay.
So you have to come back.
Thank you very much.